Hey, what's going on, young professionals? I'm right here bringing you another conversation with a business owner. The last conversation we had was with Domingo Ramos of TCS Insurance Brokers, and today I have Dan Mendoza of Movement Mortgage. He's a lender, and Dan has a lot of experience in entrepreneurship in general, and he's in lending now, and you were in lending before, but you've also did some kind of contractor work and things like that. So this is really good experience as far as the life lessons of entrepreneur. It doesn't really matter the industry you're in. Very similar in when you're trying to grow a business. And so we're here to chat with Dan. And so we'll start it off just by asking you, Dan, when around what time did you kind of start your entrepreneur career in general? Not just with lending, but just kind of in general.
In general?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you for allowing me to come here and be part of this presentation or interview.
Yeah.
I started as a business owner, entrepreneur back in the late 2010, early 2011. That's when I actually became a business owner. And when you're betting on yourself, that's pretty much when I started. Early 2011, which the economy back then was kind of shaky. The market, there was a lot of people being unemployed, people no employment, opportunities were like a small section. So you have to work very hard.
And then how old were you around that time? Hey, Casey, thanks for tuning in. We're right here live with Dan Mendoza, giving you the peace sign. Around how old were you at that time?
I'm 38 now.
Okay.
And I back then it was 2011. I had to be at least about 31.
Gotcha.
30, 31.
And put me a little bit in how was life at 31? Was it perfect? Perfect for you to make your jump, or?
No, life is... Well, I got married young. I've been married 19 years with my beautiful wife, Juana, and then we have two daughters. And at that point, I remember that I used to work for somebody, business, and here in town, and a lot of people were getting laid off, so there was more responsibilities being added. In 2008, 2009, 2010, people were getting laid off, cutting back on the salary. So I just saw that there was not much potential happening on those years. So I said, you know what, why don't we go ahead and open up our own business, like start a business. And so life was good, but sometimes you have to take that. I was employed, so I had to quit my job. I quit my job, and I went into this self-employed type, and my wife supported me a lot. I saw the future, how it was going to be brighter, and it was. And like I said, I didn't have to be an employee to look for that opportunity. It was something that I knew I had more to offer. I wanted to take the risk. Not everybody's willing to take that leap of faith. That's something about entrepreneurship. You're betting on yourself. If you want people to bet on you, you have to make sure you bet on yourself first.
That makes sense. And then, so how was the feeling of going from employment to self-employed? How was that? Because for me, I feel like it's like jumping from a safety net into the into the abyss.
So make that jump when you're a valuable player in general. You can be you're working for a company, but if you know that you're valuable either way. So I was responsible. I knew how to get the work done, and like I said, when I left that company, and I went in on my own to become a business partner, because I was a partner. Then I knew what needed to be done, but I was not guided at all. Remember, I used to work from a cubicle, and the next thing you know, I own a company, and we have to make sure. I was the salesperson. I was the kind of like the mission driven, the sales force, the branding, marketing, everything. And then so now I have to learn. And then we're just talking about a little bit about, so I have to learn from other people, try to improve every single day.
Yeah, no, that's true. Robert just tuned in. Hey, Robert, what's going on, man? Casey said, great advice. And so that's true. And I think that's one thing for the young professionals to kind of realize that, because I experienced that for myself too. I did really well in corporate. I moved up the ladder really quickly. I was making money that people my age weren't making at the time. And I just didn't feel satisfied, and I also felt like I was more valuable than that. But then when I made the jump to do my own thing, that's when you really start realizing, I was a key player in a department. I was a key player in one specific area of business. And now I have to deal with sales and customer service and finances and all these things that I had no idea about. And so that's where it becomes, hey, Monica's tuning in. And that's where it becomes difficult because I feel like, I don't know if it happened for you, but I felt like it was a hit to my confidence a little bit because I felt like I was such a key player. But then when I'm doing all these new things, it's exciting, but it's also like, man, I have no idea kind of when I'm going.
It was exciting. Now, one of the things that I'm a strong believer is that, I left the company in good terms.
Okay.
But I always tell people that when they want to make that, change, go from being a employee to a self-employed, and they're so proud of what they do and they're confident that they're going to be successful if they know it and they feel it, go for it. I do say, you got to burn that bridge. Because one of the things, once you go into that path as an entrepreneur, business owner, salesperson, and you're gonna go ahead, you gotta go 100%.
It's almost like you don't have that safety net.
You don't have that safety net. I purposely did not burn my relationship with them, but I saw that as that net, it's gone. There's no way because let's say a salesperson, anytime you're betting on yourself, there's gonna be times that you're gonna feel that, you know what, maybe this is not worth it. You're gonna turn around but if you know that you have that net there, it's so easy to take that turn and then go back and not know exactly what was gonna be ahead of you. Because sometimes, you're very close to crack to the next level.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So that's something that if you're gonna go do 100%, don't be a part-timer. You can be a part-timer if you need to, if you have a family member, stuff like that. But if you really want to go ahead and achieve anything, it doesn't matter if you're an employee or self-employed, but just give it 100%.
No, that makes total sense. And that is a scary part of it. But it's also that sink and swim, right? When you get out there, you're going to force yourself to learn and you're going to force yourself to go. One of the things that I did when I got into that realm and I was so confused and lost and I didn't know what to do is I started finding the answers through other people. And that was either through trying to find like a business coach or books. A lot of YouTube University raised me for sure. And like these questions that I have, it has to be other people and they're kind of becoming that resource. What were some of those things that you did in order to kind of answer those questions that you had and you felt like I need to find an answer for this?
Thanks to internet nowadays, you can search, read. When I started as a business owner, I have to become a master. If you're gonna go ahead and sell your service and your products out there, you have to be sold on your products, on what you do. You have to be confident, but in order to do that, you have to know your stuff. So I study a lot, I read, practice. When I started as a business owner, at first I thought it was by myself, but in reality, there's a lot of business owners. One of the things that I'm going to give shout out to Virna Hudson and Cliff Hudson with Fresh Coat Painting. Yes. So when I started, thanks to the chamber, I think like a month into the business, I also joined another networking group. Like I said, this is 2011 when everything was kind of dead. Small handful of people were actually trying to survive. And when you become part of the circle, when everybody has a mission and the mission is just to do good to your clients and actually succeed, that energy comes and it's more powerful. So Virna Hudson invited me to a networking event and that was a mixer at Serpro here in Tracy. And I think I told people when I walked into that building and start seeing all these local business owners from small shops to large companies, and I saw everything on a different level. It was just like, it's worth it,
No, it's very true, and that was one of my experiences as well. I see Sonia tuned in, Domingo tuned in, he's waving, hey, what's up, Domingo? And that was one of my experiences as well. And that's one thing that you touched on it before we started recording, how you're not alone, right? No. As an entrepreneur, you do feel alone a lot of the times because there is no one there on the computer figuring out a proposal or figuring out the finances or figuring out what am I going to do next. You're kind of planning it all together. But as a community, there is other entrepreneurs who are facing those things and you can kind of touch point with them. Let's see, Domingo says, Dan, that's awesome. He's the person who got me involved in the chamber things, Dan. So look at that. So Verna and Cliff from Fresh Coat Painters reached out to you, got you involved in the chamber, and then you did the same thing.
It's just being connected like the young professionals. That's why I support that group along with the Tracy Span Business Group and the chamber in general, BNI, all those networking groups where their mission is to help their business grow in general. I think coming in as a new business owner and talking to somebody who was already in the business for the past 5 years, 11 years, 20 years, and giving you those advice, valuable advice that you can't buy anywhere, you can't get but when they know that you are sincere, and man, you'd be surprised how many business owners out there, they want to help out.
Yeah.
Sometimes they see a reflection of themselves. Like they see somebody and they're like, man, I wish I had that coach back then, or somebody would told me that like 3 years ago. Yeah. But I'm going to share that with you. So shout out to all those business owners that love sharing information to those young professionals.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Sophia and Nathan just tuned in. What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. And so I completely agree with that, and I experienced that for myself as well. Being in the chamber where I had different business owners almost say, yeah, you remind me of a young me, and so I kind of want to give you advice, and I kind of want to help you out. This question is coming a little bit almost from just my own personal that I would love to ask you, and what's some advice that you would recommend for young professionals to really leverage like those networking groups or those groups in general? Because I feel like sometimes we go in and for me, at least this is how I take it, is I go in and I try to give a lot. I try to give information as possible. And then I feel a little hesitant to pick up the phone and ask for help, ask for a, hey, I'm not necessarily trying to sell you, but if you have someone that you can refer me to, that's great. And so I guess the question is, where's that fine balance? Where's that fine balance of really being involved in a group and then being able to leverage that to benefit your business?
So when it comes to those networking groups, I love building connections and relationships. I think in order to be respected, you have to respect them and be unique. There's nowadays it's very rare to come across people like yourself, like myself, that we have the best intentions in mind for those that we're trying to help, or maybe we just come across. A lot of people are just following the dollar or trying to benefit from that person. But if you come in as a sincere person, they'll appreciate that, and then you become a good your relationship becomes stronger. So how to leverage that when you go in? Just be unique, be yourself, be ask about them. Not so much on the business, but when it comes to asking for the business, you got to ask. Don't be afraid to ask for the business. Just go ahead. The worst thing you can get is a no or a maybe. But if you don't ask, sometimes people, how many times have you come across that like, man, if you would have asked that earlier, I would have said yes. In any occasion, when you're doing a sales presentation, when you're out there, just ask. There's if you don't ask, it's always a no.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. We have a comment here that says, yes, picking up the phone is nerve-wracking, working on improving that. I completely agree with that, especially because I've had this conversation with many people. I am pretty dang good at marketing myself and promoting myself when it comes to the sell and being a little bit more aggressive on the ask, because that's where I tend to hesitate a little back because, I don't want to bother people, etc. But there is definitely power in asking, which actually reminds me of, there's two things. There's a TED Talk called The Power of Asking, and then there's a book called The Power of Asking. And it's awesome. It's put on by this gal who was actually a street performer. She was like a statue, like the life statue, like you see in the city, San Francisco, stuff like that. And that taught her some valuable things, kind of, I guess, like panhandling in a creative way, but it taught her to ask and et cetera. And then she ended up becoming this kind of rock star rock band, and she leveraged Twitter a lot to get donations for the album, get donations for the tour, and even had people letting her crash at their place when she went on tour. So the whole premise of it is the power of asking. If she didn't have the confidence to ask, then she wouldn't have been able to get all that help.
When it comes to those relationships with business owners or family, sometimes, man, just friends, if you don't ask, it's hard. But it is okay. Sometimes people hesitate before they call somebody for advice because they want to have that image that you are an expert, you know it all. Right. But it's just a question. Just call them and say, hey, I know you might be a little more knowledgeable on this side of the in business. I see your company is doing great. Or, if you work with somebody as an employee, your teammates, you see somebody who's doing a great job and bringing certain amount of sales or the productivity, just have a coffee or have a question. Just ask. Hey, what are you doing different that I'm doing that it's helping you become more successful? And those people that they really are making it happen, they are willing to share that. Because they'll give you the recipe, but if you don't do exactly what they do, it's not going to work.
Right. That makes sense, and that's great advice. So the young professionals out there, don't hesitate to ask, and also don't hesitate to understand your strengths and your weaknesses. Find people who have those strengths that are your weaknesses, and just offer them a coffee, offer them a lunch. That's another thing that you want to get in the habit of is if you are going to request a meeting with someone, make sure you're providing some kind of value to them, whether it's free food or free coffee, or if you're good at
the best value you can provide is 100% attention to them, and ask good questions. I love having one-on-ones, meeting and meeting others, but I try to get the best by asking good quality questions. To me, a one-on-one is not when you sit down and have a coffee and then you talk about sports. A one-on-one is when we sit down and we talk about how can I help you, your family, your background, what is something that you're struggling, that you want to improve. And people love that, they value that. And they leave that, especially if you ask a lot of questions, the person who asks better questions and hears a lot, the person talking the most, they feel like they were hurt. They're like, man, they'll walk away and they're like, man, I like this. There's sad, man. I'm gonna come next time. I'm around so we can have another conversation. And be respectful about their time. I know young professionals, so you might want to come across and meet somebody who's being successful. Be respectful. If you say, I'm gonna talk to can we meet for about 15 minutes? Make sure you make it a 15 minutes. Don't meet with them, promise to be there for 15 minutes, and then 45 minutes later, you're like, all right, then I gotta go. So, because next time you call them for that 15 minutes, they're gonna say, no, you're 15 minutes 45.
Exactly. And showing up on time. Just being really mindful of people's time because they are taking the time to go ahead and meet with you. Kelly's watching, so hey, Kelly, thanks for tuning in. What is some of your best advice that you give young professionals? And whenever someone comes up to you and says, hey, Dan, you've been in business for a while, what's some advice for me? What is that typical advice you give them?
Always, my advice as a business owner, as somebody, just always try to improve yourself. Always learn, just keep learning. Learn, be a leader, lead people. There's a lot of people that want to have leaders in front of them, but if you not willing to take that step and becoming a leader, it's a lot of responsibility because if something happens and goes out or wrong, they always point at that leader. But you have to be able to be willing to be pointed at if something goes wrong. And then making mistakes is not a bad thing. Making mistakes is just showing you, like they say, a way that is not the best way to do. So lead, improve yourself, love others, and love yourself as well, and respect others as well. Respect your time, respect your family, respect your people around you.
That makes sense. And one of the things that reminds me of a saying that it's like you treat yourself like you would treat a best friend. So if you do make a mistake, let's say your best friend had made a mistake and they came to you to confide in you, what would be that advice that you give them? What would be that information that you would give them? How would you talk to them? You'd probably talk to them nicer. You'd probably be more sympathetic, more cautious of the words you use. So make sure you're doing that for yourself, because we do tend to kind of beat up on ourselves harder than we would someone else. So we're getting close to wrapping up here. Anyone that's watching, if you have any questions, any comments, you might want to throw them up now so we can keep talking to you guys live and letting you know what's going on. While you guys are kind of getting your comments and questions going, I just kind of want to have you talk a little bit of what you're doing now, because you're a lender here at Movement Mortgage, and just talk about that. Just talk about that experience on that, and a little bit of what's going on.
So another advice is just when you become a business owner, remember that you're not going to be making all this money. You're the last person to get paid. So be prepared for that. Be smart with your money. Invest where you need to invest, but just be smart. When you become a business owner, that doesn't mean that you're going to get the first one. Pay your taxes. Get my advice as a business owner. If you're going to go ahead and do that, find yourself a good team, CPA, somebody, a bookkeeping company, somebody that can give you that guidance. So that way you can focus on bringing the business, and you don't have to worry about taxes and then get in trouble with the government. So
that is some of the most underrated advice that anyone has ever given. Pay your taxes.
Pay your taxes. I will take you. But with Movement Mortgage, I've been with Movement Mortgage for a little over a year and a half now. I'm a loan officer. As a loan officer, I'm also like kind of entrepreneur, self-employed, because I consider all of us out there that we have to go hunt. We're hunters, so we hunt what we eat what we hunt. So if it's all me as well. So I work for the company, but it's like me being myself self-employed. Working with Movement Mortgage, the company has an amazing culture. what I bring, the people that I would love to connect with is real estate agents, buyers, people that want to buy homes or they're thinking about refinancing. But I like to bring support to those real estate agents, valuable support, accountability. I always tell them that I'm here to, I understand that this process has to be a mutual support, trust and respect. It's business. We got to make things happen. We got to get paid. But most importantly, we got to make sure we deliver our promises to the clients, to our customers.
Yep, at the end of the day, that's the important part, right? I remember some of my first sales and getting that check and being so excited, like, wow, I actually closed the sale. And then I think to myself, oh, wait, I still have to deliver. Like, the job's not done yet. Yeah. That was just opening the door, and then you have to go through it and actually go into it and fix it.
When you get that check, don't cash it right away. Don't spend it because they'll cancel on you, and now you owe. But one of the things that I want to share when I first started, I think, like I said, as a business owner, you're the last person that gets paid. Everybody, PG&E, all the bills, your landlord, office, the printer, everything gets paid up front, but you're the last one. But when I used to get my check, I used to have hold 2-3 checks, and I would put it on the visor of my car and said I'm not gonna cash that check or those checks until I sell this much.
Gotcha.
It was like a reward,
right?
And it helped me keep going.
Right.
And I knew that I would get another sell, and I would come back and say I got one more to go, so before I can cash and deposit that, because you have to build that. So I knew when I cashed that check, that money was mine.
Yeah, no, that
so
makes sense.
you got to find ways. Remember, I know, get yourself a coach as well. But when you're a business owner, you have to wake up every morning. You have to be your own coach. You have to lead yourself. Before you lead others, you have to make sure you lead yourself.
No, it's true. Julia's tuning in. Hey, Julia. And that's good advice, keeping yourself motivated. Because I think all of us, especially people who are doing their own thing, creating their own jobs, doing their own business, we have a certain level of energy. And we have a certain level of ambition. However, that level of ambition and energy doesn't last 100% all the time. It could be great for a month straight, and then you have a bad week, and you're kind of feeling down in the dumps, etc. So when those moments do happen, find your zen, find your way of re-energizing, whether it's resting, working out, having conversations with people. I know I tend to kind of go more hermit mode. I just want to be by myself. I'll watch a lot of TV, and then
find something that helps you out. When you go in, if you go in full blast, you don't forget about your family. If you have kids or a girlfriend or wife or boyfriend or husband, parents, don't forget about them, because they're there. They definitely want you to succeed. But sometimes we get stuck in that trap, and next thing you know, there's a divorce happening or something happens, and you regret that. So try to leverage that. That's something that at first I wish I would have known, to try to enjoy that moment with my family. There's no deal out there that can actually break your business if you take that one day off to be with someone. Create a habit. Something if you like sports, camping. I find it very relaxing watching old movies, like old 80s, 50s, black and white movies. Right. When I just want to unwind, I watch that, and it helps me. So, any questions out there? I want to see some questions. Some interesting questions.
Well, Dan wants questions. But that's true. And also,
don't be shy.
Even if you're upfront with that with clients and letting them know, hey, listen, I got your email. Thank you so much. I'm spending the day with my family, but I'll get back to it, by tomorrow. You will see how clients are so open to that and saying, I understand. Go enjoy your time and get back to me.
Yeah, but as long as you reply, as long as you get back to them.
Yes.
If you have a trip coming up, I know holidays like Christmas, that's one of the things that I'll try to save those, take off that last week. When you let your customers, your anybody within your circle, let them know in advance. Send them a letter, send them a card, send them something to where a letter would be better, like a little postcard saying, hey, happy holidays. I just want to let you know that from December 20th to January 3rd, I'm going to be off, enjoying time off with the family. In case of emergency, give me a call, but if it can wait after, the holidays, feel free. People appreciate that.
Yeah, yep. And
they understand.
You become more relatable, right? You're just a person at that point. All right, guys, so we're pretty much wrapping up. So Dan is tagged on this live video.
Monica, give me a hard question.
So we'll give Monica a little bit of time for that. But you can find Dan. He's
tagged.
Julia? Yeah, it's Julia.
Come on, Julia.
And so you can find Dan. He's tagged on here on the live video, his personal page, etc. If you guys want to reach out and ask him any questions regarding loans or anything of that point.
But a young professional, I know there's a lot of potential. You know, when I go to the gym, when I go to the different places, I see myself. You know, when I used to work for a company, and so you might have that potential. You might want to try it out. If you don't want to take that, make that switch now, it's good to be around people, you know, that just ask those questions. So the young professionals, when they meet once a month, I strongly recommend to go and participate. Because if you work as an employee, but next thing you know, you might become a manager, area director, anything, you know, but it's to be surrounded with them. It's going to help you out. So I encourage for you to go ahead, contact myself if you have any questions regarding lending, but if you have any questions about brainstorming, I'd love to, there's one of my mentors that I follow, Patrick Ben Davis. He says, a lot of people call me crazy, but some people call me to talk about advice. So
there you go.
Give me that call.
There you go. So with that, feel free to reach out, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Another little episode here at the Young Professionals with a business owner. And we hope to see you guys at the next event.
Thank you very much. This is great. It's been great. Thank you.
Of course, man. You got it. All right. We're out of here. I got to press end on this bad boy right here. And